I've been brewing this one for a while, folks. This week is going to kick off a 5-part series that'll give you some easy-to-use story hooks for fantasy and sci-fi. Why do this? Well, for some of my friends out there, you're in the business of world building. You spend your days dreaming of rivers and topography, cities and their cultures, magic systems and technology. Putting a cool story to that is sometimes the hardest part, so I'm here to give you a swift kick in the butt and inspire you to tell those stories and show off your world. Let's kick it off talking about story hooks for the hero's journey. Before we get into that, though, here's a reminder to check out dcferguson.com for all my latest videos, overviews of my books, exclusive behind-the-scenes content for each of my series, and you can sign up for my newsletter. I should also mention that you can help me out in a big way. If you like this video, subscribe, and share it with any of your friends that also enjoy the art of storytelling. What's really great about these story hooks is that because they're the same type of story, we can actually mix and match elements from each one and still craft our own thing. To be honest with you, if you've never tried to write using a story hook, let me preface by saying there's no shame in it. You're not cheating, you're not taking an easy way out. What we're doing here is looking at the past for inspiration, to look at proof of what has worked in the past, and that may resonate with you, something that you might have even forgotten about. What I can't give you with these hooks is the way to make it your own. Things like that are done with your original characters, in your original world, with your theme, and the message you're trying to convey with your story. You hear me talk a lot about universal truths on this channel, things that speak to the human experience. Those stories always resonate with a much larger group of people than topical issues, current events, or political statements. That's not to say you can't make those stories too, just understand that they have a more narrow audience and a shorter shelf life, depending on how culture changes opinions over time. Now, I've talked about all of those aspects on the channel before, making characters, archetypes, theme, so don't be afraid to dig into my archives and watch those videos too. I may have the production values of a potato, but the information is all accurate, pretty timeless, and I stand by every word of it. That said, let's get into some story hooks. The first one we're going to discuss today when doing the hero's journey is that of the Chosen One. The Chosen One is a trope where the hero, or group of heroes, is someone that a prophecy has foretold, or somehow otherwise has been destined to face a great evil. This is probably the hero's journey that we're all most familiar with, as the biggest selling franchises in all of fantasy and sci-fi use this trope. We're talking about your Star Wars, Matrix, and you got your Harry Potter. So, why is this the backbone of the biggest selling franchises of this genre? Well, the reasons are many, but one of the universal truths it speaks to is all of our desires to be chosen, to be special to someone, to be a hero. It also asks a daring question. If you were called upon tomorrow to be great and powerful, to be given a gift of strength and a destiny to fight with it, would you rise to the challenge? Now, I just touched on something that's going to be common in every single one of these hooks we discussed today, the call to action. The hero's journey doesn't uniquely use the call to action, but I would say it's more prevalent here than in other genres and tropes. The call to action is this moment in the beginning of your story where our main character is faced with staying as just another person in the world, or do they rise to become a hero? We don't want to confuse this with an inciting incident, where someone wrongs the character and they become a hero based on revenge. We have a whole video on revenge stories coming up, so stay tuned for that. While the call to action can involve an inciting event, like a home or a town getting burned down, the hero is not motivated by vengeance. The call to action says to this character, look at the wrongs here, this isn't justice. You need to set things right and only you can be the one to do it. Neo sees a world enslaved by machines. Luke sees a beautiful princess taken hostage by a cruel empire. You get the point. The other part of this trope is the prophecy side of it. Usually there will be some oracle or ancient text that predicts this hero and what they will do. Why is this so integral to the trope? Well, again, this speaks to the idea of this fearless hero walking the hero's journey. They are fulfilling destiny. Their cause is just, and it is what they are meant to do. Now, to some degree, this gives your hero what is often called plot armor, meaning that the stakes are low because the hero can't die. There are ways to subvert this in your story, and I'm going to touch on a couple. In The Matrix, Neo visits the Oracle and asks her if he is in fact the one. She tells him, not in this life. And this is extremely key to the wild success of the first film's storytelling. In the climax, Neo is shot multiple times at point-blank range by Agent Smith. Neo dies. When Trinity's kiss wakes him up, Neo taps into a power he didn't have before. He becomes the one by getting killed and beginning his next life. Another way to subvert it is with something I had to do in the Dragon's Dream saga. The single greatest power that main character Cora Blake has is her ability to regenerate. If you think prophecy gives a character plot armor, throw in the ability to recover from any wound and see how quickly you start running into narrative trouble. How did I subvert that? Our old friend, the quote-unquote fate worse than death. Cora Blake may not be able to be killed, but everyone that she loves and cares for is fair game. Instead of having her physical life be in danger, her emotional stability is tested as she's continually having to face grief and loss and the guilt of not being able to save everyone. The things that make her a good person and a hero, how much she cares for other people, are the exact same weaknesses that a villain can exploit. So what are some hooks to get you started in telling a Chosen One story? Well, how about, for 300 years, people have awaited the hero of prophecy. They never expected it would be one of them. The people cried out to the gods for a savior. Little did they know that their prayers were already answered. Long ago, protectors were placed on the earth. If it should ever be threatened again, they will awaken once more. Now, that allows us to segue into our next story hook for the hero's journey, that of the reluctant hero. Our reluctant hero is happy where they are, happy with who they are. Fate or circumstance drags them into a conflict that they want nothing to do with. But as time goes on in the story and they grow, they become the hero before our eyes. Reluctant heroes are not often kung fu masters like Neo, or myself, the master of kung fu and friendship. Reluctant heroes don't fit the mold of what we would expect to put the fate of the world on. For examples like this, we don't have to look any further than Frodo in Lord of the Rings. Here is the difference between the Chosen One and the reluctant hero. If you look at the end of the story and were to tell the reluctant hero what they went through, what they lost, and you feel like it would probably make them turn around and run, you probably have a reluctant hero. The trials of the reluctant hero don't just make them a better hero, they make them a stronger person. They may be capable of great things, but they don't have a clue just how powerful they really are. It comes with each trial the hero faces. They grow stronger. If you think of it in gaming terms, each trial of the hero gives them a level up. By the end of the story, they're able to face great evil that they never could have at the start of the story, because nothing has ever made them dig that deep. The Chosen One often has a natural gift. What they lack is training or confidence. Their arc is about stepping into their destiny. The reluctant hero has power, but they don't know it yet. The difference is subtle, but it's there. I just touched on something that's also going to be true in all of our heroes' journey tales, that of the trials they face. Every hero must overcome trials along their path. Some of them are physical, such as traversing a great distance or rooms filled with traps. Others will be mental, such as a battle of wits or solving an ancient puzzle. The truly memorable trials in your story, of course, are going to be the great battles that your hero must fight in. Is this battle of wits funny? Absolutely. Is it more memorable than this swashbuckling duel? Not really. I know. Inconceivable. But it is important to point out that the battles, the points of highest action, are going to be the most memorable trials of the hero, win or lose. Look at John McClane in Die Hard. We could argue that as a cop, he's already a kind of hero. But there are a few moments where he's questioning himself, saying things like, "What are you doing, John?" as he's about to do something crazy, which makes us realize he's growing in power. If he can survive this, then maybe he can survive the next thing, even though it's more difficult, and so on. Was he a cop? Yes. Was he a hero? Maybe. Was he the man you'd ever picture taking out an entire skyscraper full of terrorists? Well, not really. That's more of a squad of military guys. But here's the key. Were any of those guys around? Well, the answer is no. So, with the life of his wife on the line, John McClane is all we've got. He figured that out too, and he rose to the occasion. He kept digging deeper to overcome every obstacle until he got his wife back. It just so happened that he had to kill every bad guy in the building to do it. So, what are some hooks for the reluctant hero? The last of a cursed bloodline. Becoming the hero the world needs means embracing the curse and unleashing a power they swore to let die with them. Worthless, washed up, a coward. People called them many things. Hero wasn't one of them. All I did was save somebody. Now everyone thinks I'm some hero of legend. I'd much rather go back to my normal life, but now I'm attracting the wrong attention. With these hooks, you can firmly establish your character's hero's journey in the reluctant hero camp. Next up, we're going to talk about the last of their kind. This is where the main character is the last of a people, or the last of a bloodline thought to be extinct. The ancient evil that once wiped out their people has returned, and that means they must rise up again to be the heroes their people once were. This one ties in very well with rich world building and deep lore, so it's well suited to epic high fantasy or full-on space operas. Surprise, surprise, the examples I mention will point to exactly that. So we're talking about Aang in The Last Airbender. The plot point of being the last of his kind is right there in the title. He's the last of the Sky Nomads. We also see this in Aragon, as the title character is the last of the Dragon Riders. The books, not the movie. Ew. Now, why would we use this over a reluctant hero or a chosen one? Well, the most obvious answer is what we're trying to do with the story. A person that's the last survivor of anything is going to carry a rich and deep bag of mixed emotions. There may be reluctance toward the powers that got his people killed, or the hero may feel that they're honoring the fallen by practicing their ways. They may feel immense grief over everything they've lost. They may be frightened of the evil that killed them, or they may be hell-bent on avenging them. There is trauma and sadness, there is pride in the ways of their fallen brothers, and there is this incredible pressure not only to succeed in defeating this great evil, but also that they are the last. For there to ever be more of their people, or for their memories to live on, we strap all of that right onto the hero's back. That's incredible pressure to put on one person, to destroy evil, become a master of their powers, and teach their ways to the next generation, to basically start their civilization over again by themselves. You see what I'm getting at? There's a goldmine of emotions to carry on here, and the universal truth it speaks to is also pretty obvious. It's about pride in your people and carrying the weight of that culture on your back, about using it to overcome evil and pass it on to future generations. These are tales of survival. At that point, the reason you'd use this trope over the others is pretty obvious, if that's the kind of story you want to tell. So, where are the hooks? Well, I'm glad you asked. The last of the old gods awakens to a world that no longer believes in them, but the threat that slayed their kind remains. An aging sorcerer stares from his prison cell. He was imprisoned for his magical abilities. Now the king says it may be the only thing that can save them. The return trip through space brought them to a devastated world. The computer on their ship is the only memory of their entire race. So the last one we're going to go over today is a unique one, in that you can't do it with one hero just by themselves. This one is exclusively for teams, and you've seen it countless times before. We're talking about the group of misfits that becomes a family. Whether we're referring to the Brady Bunch or the Guardians of the Galaxy, these stories often revolve around characters that don't fit in, have tragic pasts, or are otherwise shunned by the rest of society. For whatever reason, these characters have fallen through the cracks, but when they're in a room together, there's nothing they can't solve. The most obvious recent example of this is the Marvel movie Thunderbolts. I won't spoil anything here, although you can check out my last video for a deeper, more spoilery analysis. The point is, these are all characters that have been villains or antagonists in some kind of previous Marvel movie. They're all damaged, and they've hurt people, and they've done bad things, but together they can be something better. We see these same beats with Guardians of the Galaxy, but instead of a team of former villains, we have the only person from Earth in deep space. We have the daughter of the greatest tyrant the galaxy has ever known. A last of his kind alien bent on revenge for the loss of his wife and daughter, and a raccoon engineer that was once a lab experiment with his partner, a living tree. Yeesh, they are a mouthful. But that's kind of the point. These characters are so outlandish and strange that even the audience gives them a strange look. This is the classic greater than the sum of your parts kind of story. This is about finding family and kinship with others that are just as different as you. I don't even think I need to explain the universal truths here. They're kind of self-evident. You write a story like this because you relate to the outcast types, and you want to show off how great things can be when you don't judge a book by its cover. You want to stress the importance of family, and that it doesn't always mean that you find family in the blood. Again, let's flex on some prompts. They sent us on a mission we were never supposed to come back from. What we found on that suicide mission was a reason to go on. We hate each other. We couldn't be more different, yet this magical oath keeps us bound to each other. We have to make it work if we ever want to be free. The only mercenary work we could get was the jobs no one wants, but there's a pattern here, and we might have uncovered a conspiracy. How fun are those? There's a fun story in every one of those, and the only thing missing is you. Yeah, you. The thing is, all these stories could be written or performed by a dozen different people, and they may come up with a dozen different tales. The hook might be the same, like Guardians of the Galaxy and Thunderbolts, but the story and characters are wildly different. The theme of family in Guardians is night and day from how the Thunderbolts is about overcoming depression and the sins of our past. The villain in Guardians wants an ultimate power, while the villain in Thunderbolts is, well, poor mental health. I mentioned earlier you can mix and match elements from each of these to make these hooks and tropes even more your own. What does that look like? Well, I give you the Avengers. It's a cool movie. You might have heard of it. When you look at this team, we're talking about misfits, whether it's the recluse Dr. Banner or Steve Rogers, a man out of time. We have the chosen one in Captain America, the only successful super soldier, and he survived in ice. We have a reluctant hero in Dr. Banner who's convinced the whole team is a bomb waiting to go off. We have Thor, not exactly the last of his kind, but he is the only Asgardian on Earth. They butt heads, things don't work, they shouldn't be a team, but then New York is under threat, and there's no one but them. Somehow, they make it work and they save the world. Talk about not staying in your lane, right? But this is the magic of what you can do with the hero's journey. Join me next week for more prompts when we talk about getting us some good old-fashioned revenge. The hero's journey is a quintessential story that has made us tick since the dawn of civilization. There's something about it that just speaks to the soul. You're meant for great things. You have special powers within you. Those are all messages that transcend time and mean different things to different people. The point is, they always resonate. If only we can be so lucky in our own storytelling, am I right? Don't forget to check out my new website, link is in the description below. You'll also find the link to my newsletter in the comments, where you can get a free book, read about all of my latest projects, and find other indie authors for your next great read. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear about new videos, and as always, have fun and get crafting.